Hello and welcome to Farm Connections. I'm your host, Dan Hoffman. On today's Farm Connections, we head to Winona to see what Camp Explorers Ag Day is all about. Ken Thiesse informs us about 2016's farm program payments, and I talk with David Nicolai about his role with the University of Minnesota Extension. All here today on Farm Connections.
Welcome to Farm Connections with your host, Dan Hoffman.
Farm Connections, sponsored by Alcorn Clean Fuel, a farmer-owned cooperative in Claremont, Minnesota, produces ethanol, high-protein livestock feed, and corn oil, and beverage-grade carbon dioxide for resale to benefit its members and their communities. Absolute Energy, a locally owned facility, produces 115 million gallons of ethanol annually, proudly supporting local economies in Iowa and Minnesota. Absolute Energy, adding value to the neighborhood. The Agricultural Utilization Research Institute, collaborating with businesses and entrepreneurs to foster long-term economic benefit for Minnesota through value-added agricultural products. You can learn more at auri.org. Kahn Tile Supply, Leroy, Minnesota, and New Hampton, Iowa, since 1985, supplying the market with field drain tile products, dual wall, metal culverts, septic systems, PVC, and plumbing supplies.
Thanks for joining us on Farm Connections. We're in a beautiful winery. More on that later, but with me right now is Judy Barka. Welcome, Judy.
Hi, Dan.
Well, Farm Connections is all about ag and food science, and that's what you're all about too, isn't it?
It is, in a variety of different ways. I work for AgCentric, which is the Northern Center of Agricultural Excellence. We're part of the Minnesota State Colleges and University system, and we really spend a lot of time promoting agriculture careers and the whole concept of what's going on in agriculture today.
Well, you look excited about your job. What's good about it?
What's good? Everything is good about my job. I get the opportunity to really work in agriculture now, and it's a great time to be thinking about agriculture and to be thinking about a career in agriculture especially. There's tons and tons of opportunities if you have an interest area, we can find a career for you that's related to agriculture. And especially when we talk about agriculture, the other thing to be real clear about is agriculture includes agriculture, food, and natural resources. And we're talking the whole gamut of whatever works across the board there.
Are there really jobs in agriculture and food science?
Lots of them, lots and lots of jobs. One of the things that we're seeing, especially now in agriculture, is not so much the new jobs being created, but we're seeing retirements. And the retirements, there's probably 5 to 15% of the agriculture workforce that's going to retire in the next 5 years or so. And there's a lot of backfill that we need to do. So we're seeing a lot of opportunities for young people to come in and work with those experienced people, get that knowledge, gain that knowledge base, and then take over when they retire out of there. So that's a real area that we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of expansion of a need for jobs in there. And then the food industry. It's amazing to me when I talk to people that are involved in all aspects of the food industry, the number of people that they need as to fill in for jobs and new creation of new jobs. More and more people are eating out, and so the whole food industry is just a high growth area right now.
Well, even walking through the grocery store, looking at the products compared to a few years ago in the grocery store is really eye-opening.
It really is. You really see the diversity, and we see a lot of the ethnic things that are coming in now, people looking to expand on those kind of things, the choices between organically grown and otherwise, and all those kind of things. We're seeing a lot of that expansion of foods. And we need people that can go in and then develop those new foods that are being put on the market, find new uses for foods that exist on the market today. So there's, again, a real need in the food industry in a variety of different ways.
Seems like there's less and less 50-pound bags of flour leaving the store and more products that are already ready to serve. Is that true?
I would say, and I'm only speaking to that from my own experience. I know that it's really, we're seeing more and more people that, because of busy lifestyles, they want that convenience of having pre-prepared or sort of pre-prepared food so they can just come home and get a meal together real quick. It's not like when my mom was at home on the farm, you know, she was there all day and didn't have an off-the-farm job, and so she had time to cook, and it was expected that she would cook, and so there was not as much prepackaged stuff 20, 30 years ago as what we're starting to see now.
And there's much talk about food safety and traceability of the product all the way back to where it was produced. Are we preparing people for those industries as well?
We're really working at it. We really are working at it in a variety of different ways. We start with, if you start with, you know, who the scientist that discover or that develops the plant seed that goes in the ground, and the controls and things that they're working under, and all the way through the farmer and what the farmer puts on the crop, what he uses to grow the crop, the technology that they use to get that crop in the ground and continue to go through the harvesting of the crop, and where it's shipped to the elevator, and the care that they take with it at the elevator, and the people that are responsible for it there, and on to further processing, and then the shippers that take it there, and then on to more processing, and on to the grocery store or the restaurant or wherever it needs to go. We're seeing a lot of need for people in those areas, and we're seeing programs that are being developed to really make food safety a #1 priority out there, and being trained and well qualified to look at food safety from a variety of angles.
Well, behind us there's a drone which is taking some pictures, and we've got a youth education group here, an ag camp. Tell us about that.
Well, this is Camp Explore, is what's going on here, and today is Agriculture Day. And so Camp Explore is the Centers of Excellence from the Minnesota State Colleges and University System put this camp together, and so there's 8 centers, and all 8 centers take a day as part of camp. Today's Ag Day, and we really wanted to try and show students that it's not something that we would consider traditional agriculture, the corn, soybeans, that kind of thing. And so this morning we visited the National Eagle Center, where we talked about natural resources, and related to that we talked about water and the importance of water in agriculture. And now we're at the winery, where we're talking about growing of grapes, and then value-added processing, taking the grape from the raw product and actually coming up and selling it with a final product. And so we're talking about that. From here we're going to go on to a vegetable gardening operation, where they actually grow vegetables and they do seed production. So for next year's crop, they have the seeds that they're trying to harvest this year for next year's crop. And so we really wanted to try and show students a breadth of opportunities that are available in agriculture, and to give them something that wasn't real traditional, and to get them thinking that there's more to agriculture than just farming. I get that a lot when I talk about careers in agriculture. I don't want to be a farmer. Well, there's a lot more involved in agriculture than just farming. And here, especially here at the winery, it's great to be able to show them the beginning product to the end product. And when I talked to the students beforehand and on the way over here on the bus, many of them did not even think that a winery is agriculture. It's just a winery. That's where they make wine, or that's where they get wine. It's not agriculture. And to make them see that connection and help them see that connection, that's a huge part of what we do when we educate students, is to just see the connection between what we do every day and agriculture.
Well, that's a great subject and a great thing to do for all of society, especially these young people that are making choices about careers, where to go for college education or whatever comes next, the technical career education. What advice do you have in that area?
My first piece of advice is that a 4-year degree is not for everyone. There's great opportunities for people with 2-year degrees and certificates and a variety of things. I strongly believe, personally and in my career, that education of some kind after high school is really important. But there's tons of opportunities out there for students if they want to get that technical education and get right into their career choice. There's tons of opportunities, tons of well-paying opportunities, and all kinds of things that they can do. So a 2-year program is really, I encourage people to look at 2-year programs. A 2-year program in itself is not for everyone, so there's 4-year opportunities as well. But really to take a look at that 2-year opportunity and say, you know, maybe this is where I want to go rather than the 4 years.
Yeah, of course. If you've got a 2-year program, you eventually can transition into
Absolutely, absolutely. You can grow yourself and grow your education potential by going back and getting more education, whether it's from a 4-year or onto a master's or PhD or whatever the case may be.
You talked a lot about changes in agriculture. I remember many people in many industries in agriculture, at a certain point near their retirement, they said, I'm outdated. I need to renew, I need more skills. And sometimes they just throw their arms up and say, I'm done.
Yeah.
What plans do we have inside of our state for training those people nearing the last third of their career?
I think if they want to update their skills, one of the things I've seen, especially in the area of precision agriculture, the things that are going on in precision agriculture, it's changing about as fast as you can blink your eye.
Absolutely.
And so to keep up with those changes, many people are frustrated in how fast it's changing and they can't keep up with those changes. But I think the work that's being done at several of the colleges across the state of Minnesota with precision agriculture is a great starting point for people wanting to explore how they can upgrade their skills and how they can come back and maybe look at things differently, and then figure out how they can use that in their operation and make that something to add value to the farming that they're doing currently or the work that they're doing currently.
Well, this Ag Food Science Camp must have people from the city and from the farm. What kind of percentage from the farm?
It's very small. It's very small. If you look at the percentage, there's two young people here that are from the farm. The rest are over 75% are from the metro area, the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro and suburb metro area, and the rest are kind of scattered around the state and from various places. But there is only 2 that I'm aware of that are from the farm.
So, do you approach the farm students differently than you do the city folks on what you're presenting?
Yes and no. It's a really yes and no question. One of the things that I found is that farm kids don't necessarily know everything about agriculture, or we expect or we anticipate that they know more about agriculture than they maybe really do. So yes, I do it a little differently. One of the things that I found is if I can get them to add their expertise to something that I'm doing or something that I'm presenting, it enhances everything that we do. And so I try to tap into that expertise when we're talking about agriculture and, what do you grow on your farm? What do you do? How do you do it? That kind of thing. But when we're talking to an audience that has no familiarity with farming, we really start with the basics. And the hardest thing that I do is try not to use acronyms when I'm talking about what we do in agriculture. That sometimes gets really tough. But we really try to take it down to the basics and give them a real general understanding. And then if they have more specific questions or want things clarified more, we can go back and answer those questions.
Tremendous. And to wind up, Judy, AgCentric, if at the end of the year you look back and you've accomplished your mission, what would that be?
Well, if you look at our website, it says on our website, AgCentric, connecting education and industry. If I look back at the end of this year and I can say that we have grown partnerships between industry and education, increased the number of schools we're involved in, high schools and post-secondary schools, increased the number of industry people that are working with us, working beside us to promote agriculture and promote opportunities in agriculture, that's a successful year for me.
I think you're well on the way.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us, Judy.
You're welcome.
Stay tuned for more on Farm Connections.
Over 90% of the crop producers in the upper Midwest are currently enrolled in the Ag Risk Coverage or Arc County Farm Program Choice on their corn and soybean base acres for the 2014 to 2018 crop years. The Arc County program is based on National Market Year Average or MYA prices and county average yields. As a result, there are no guaranteed annual farm program payments, and the payments can vary considerably from year to year and from county to county, and result in very complex payment formulas. For the 2016 corn and soybean crop, producers in counties that had very high corn and soybean yields in 2016 relative to their benchmark yields will likely not receive a 2016 Arc County payment. Producers in counties that had 2016 corn yields that were very near or below their 2016 benchmark yields will likely get the maximum or close to the maximum 2016 payment. Producers in counties that had a 2016 county corn yield that was between 110 and 122% of their county benchmark yield will likely get a partial 2016 corn payment. Only 5 counties in southern Minnesota and 9 counties in eastern South Dakota are expected to receive the maximum 2016 corn Arc County payment, with no counties in northern Iowa likely to receive the maximum payment. Almost no counties in the upper Midwest will receive a 2016 soybean Arc County payment due to the record 2016 soybean yields in many counties and fairly strong average prices during most of the year relative to the 5-year average benchmark price. Annual ARC County payments for a given crop are paid when the actual county revenue for the crop in a given crop year falls below the county benchmark revenue guarantee. The actual county revenue for a given county is the final county FSA yield for the year times the final market year average price. The farm program payments are paid in October in the year after the crop was produced. For example, any payments for the 2017 crop year will not be paid until October 2018. For corn and soybeans, the MYA or market year average price is the national average price from September 1st in the year that the crop was produced until August 31st the following year, with the MYA prices finalized on September 30th. The monthly national average prices are then weighted at the end of the year based on the volume of bushels sold in each month. The current farm program formulas are quite complicated to understand and very difficult to predict from year to year. This variability makes it hard for producers to understand the wide variation in our county program payments from county to county in a given year for a given crop. This also creates challenges for farm operators, landowners, and ag lenders as they try to do cash flow planning for a given year. That's all for today. We'll be back next time.
We're at the event Bar and Grill in Casson, Minnesota with David Nicolai from the University of Minnesota. Welcome, David.
Thank you.
What do you do in your work at the U anyway?
Well, my position at the University of Minnesota is really twofold. In terms of activities, one of those is as a coordinator for our Institute of Ag Professional Programming. The other activity that I do is in general education, agronomy education for growers, other people and businesses throughout central Minnesota.
Sounds like interesting work, and agriculturists need to progress, learn more, and they've always been curious. The successful ones probably professionally develop and carry on with new curriculums, right?
Well, I think it's challenging for our ag professionals in the area to stay one step ahead of their growers in terms of knowledge of technical expertise that they need to do to help provide them with the best information possible for growing crops in the upper Midwest.
Well, what's at stake if a farmer or ag professional, and they're both professionals, but when we professional we mean vendors, people that sell products, supply, advise farmers, but when those people don't do continuing ed, what's the consequence?
Well, certainly for their own business situations, they want to be able to provide a cutting edge technology. They want to make sure that that farmer is economically successful. Now, in the last several years, we've had a lot of situations developed where we perhaps had lower commodity prices throughout the Midwest, particularly sometimes in the upper Midwest, given our geographical position from export markets. So if we can help the grower to succeed, they will make that ag professional succeed as well. So there is a business relationship here that goes on between the ag professional and the grower, and the ag professional needs to be able to provide that cutting edge information to give that grower the little bit of extra need that they may have to have in terms of, you know, growing an extra bushel of corn, soybeans, wheat, whatever it might be to succeed.
Average doesn't do it anymore, does it?
It certainly doesn't. I mean, when you look at the commodity prices right now, we're in a worldwide market, and so growers need to have that little extra edge, keep their costs down, do it in an economically and environmentally sustainable method as well. You know, comply with regulations. All of these different factors come into being, and that's why they really need that counsel and advice that they might get from an ag professional, because there's no way that one person is an island here to really discern through all of the technical expertise that's needed to succeed in today's agriculture.
Well, we've identified the need. How do we satisfy that need?
Well, in terms of what a lot of land-grant universities are involved with, in Extension, University of Minnesota, other land-grant universities in the Midwest, try to provide research-based information. So this isn't just an opinion. This is based upon replicated research, statistically valid, and we will indicate, you know, and not be afraid to call out this situation is better here, not so good here, this product works in this situation, this product does not work, but we can be unbiased. So we provide that neutral information that will help these ag professionals be able to provide the best types of information back to their growers. So we do that via workshops that we conduct in terms of in the wintertime. Oftentimes it's a situation where it's an indoor venue where we do research update applications. We do other short courses throughout the wintertime as well. But in the summertime, there's a lot of hands-on activities. There's field schools, there's research days, there's plot days, just you name it, and a number of different things that are done by a number of universities in the area, really to provide that hands-on information, because it's just, you know, what we always talk about back in 4-H, we learn by doing, and that's probably some of the best methods yet in 2017 here is learn by doing.
Well, how do farmers and the team people that help them produce crops and livestock find out more about workshops and the information you share?
Well, there's a number of ways. Each university typically has a website where they have their information. I think if a lot of people search online through their local extension situations in the various states, they'll find a listing of workshops. Also, they can contact perhaps their local extension educator or their regional extension educator to get on some of these mailing lists. At the University of Minnesota, we provide a crop e-news publication that's free for people. They just sign up online, and they can be provided with some of those listings of workshops as well. So there's mailings as well, you know, in terms of that, but certainly just reach out and make some of those contacts.
Have the demographics of the audiences and the people you work with changed over the last few years?
Oh yes, I think we're getting quite a bit more now into what we call the millennial generation here, not only on the farm, but also on the people that are providing the information in terms of ag professionals. You know, they're different than their peers were a number of years ago, or their parents, or the baby boomer generation per se. They're going to be very inquisitive. They're going to be very astute technically, you know, online. Precision agriculture has a great deal of interest for these folks as well. Social media, a number of these come into mind. So they will want the information not 2-3 months from now, but as soon as they can in terms of making those timely recommendations.
So has it changed your delivery and the programming that you do?
Yes, I think it has, and we do quite a bit still, you know, face-to-face, but we also provide things as a webcast, podcasts in a lot of universities, online learning situations, because people's time is of value here, and sometimes their ability to travel. And as we get some of the farmers in the area and ag professionals becoming larger, maybe fewer in a geographical area, it becomes quite essential to use these other mechanisms to provide education.
And the need is still great.
The need is still great because those acres are still going to be farmed in some way, shape, or situation with that. They'll have to be aware of that. They'll have to be aware of what we do with our partner organizations under the USDA, FSA, conservation reserve programs. All these different types of things come into play in some way, shape, or form. So the grower still needs to make a business decision and be financially sustainable at the end.
David, great information. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much.
Stay tuned for more on Farm Connections.
The Minnesota turkey growers held their annual retreat recently and covered a wide range of issues. Such topics as how to raise their poultry more efficiently to consumer acceptance of their product were all pulled together at forums to educate and share information. Producers from across the state attended, and Executive Director Steve Olson explains more.
Primary purpose of this is to provide some educational opportunities and information to our members, as well as that networking. I mean, a lot of the conversations that happen outside of the meeting rooms are where they're exchanging ideas about, you know, practices that one guy is doing, another one picks it up, or they have conversations like that, which is real valuable.
There's been both good and bad news for turkey growers recently. Prices have been low, but the industry has been fighting a very successful campaign against avian influenza.
You know, unfortunately, our prices are down right now, so that it's a tough market, and it looks like that's the way it's going to be for the next year, maybe year and a half or so. But as we look at changes that we made 2 years ago and went through high-path influenza, the biosecurity practices that we have now I think are going to protect us going forward with any type of disease outbreak.
The Minnesota turkey growers pride themselves in bringing industry information together, and meetings like the recent retreat are a great way to share what they have learned.
We are kind of a source to help identify and bring information together and display that or get that to our growers because, again, they're focused on their day-to-day stuff, and there's a lot of information changes that are happening. So the regulatory aspects, that's a function that we have, is we bring that information to them. And likewise, we get some dialogue and feedback on some things that are, maybe it's a regulation or maybe it's a practice that is working or is not working that we as an association can bring forward to the policymakers too.
This is Lynn Kettleson reporting.
Continuing to place an importance on agricultural education is an ever-growing need. As times change, each generation will need to continue to learn from the experiences of the past. Nurturing a sense of the importance of our agricultural community will be a vital challenge for our educators as we move into the future. I'm Dan Hoffman. Thank you for joining us today on Farm Connections.